putting everything on Mandibuzz, right? So I actually make a switch in my Hoopa to try and go for the Psychic, but they make a switch into Toxicroak and it just gets one shot, right? Which is because I want to put, that would now put it into Shadow Ball range, right? Shadow Ball is obviously going to be super effective. And it's going to do massive super effective damage and still doesn't one shot it. And like I said, Wobuffet is just such a tank, but it doesn't have a great attack stat as well. So we should be able to survive this Mirror Coat from this range because that's resisted as well because of that Psychic typing, and I'm going to be able to completely farm it down. And then, yeah, I'm just going to go for the Psychic onto this Dragalge here. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So, hope you're all having a great day and a great time in general as far as Season 9 is concerned. We're a couple of weeks in right now, and I'm sure most of you might have reached Ace by now. Some of you might have even hit Veteran. But in today's video, I'm going to be trying out a really exciting team comp, basically consisting of Hoopa, along with Double Dark in the back in the Great League Remix Cup. Now, Hoopa was obviously released about last week, 4 or 5 days ago. We had a couple of Gen 6 releases over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we had Hoopa first, and of course, now we have Inkay and Malamar as well. I'll try and get one video out for Malamar hopefully tomorrow. But for this particular team comp, I'm going to be running Hoopa on the lead, along with Drapion as the safe swap and Mandibuzz in the back, right? Now, Hoopa, to be honest, isn't the best option out there because it's just extremely glassy. And obviously, because of that Psychic Ghost typing, it's going to be double weak to Ghost and double weak to Dark, which is why you need that additional protection against Ghost and Dark types in the back. This is why we're running Double Dark in the back. And obviously, Drapion, because of that Poison subtyping, is a fantastic generalist, right? It's probably one of the best safe swaps out there as far as the Remix Cup meta is concerned. I mean, shoutouts to Zionic for popularizing it. This thing is an absolute monster, right? Especially with the energy gain from Poison Sting, it's just made it so much better. I was actually using Alolan Muck initially, which also works, but obviously Drapion I think is just a little bit better because of that energy gain. Again, Mandibuzz is extremely tanky and you need that tankiness to cover up for how glassy Hoopa is. And of course, Drapion isn't exactly very tanky either, right? And I was actually trying a bunch of different team comps with Hoopa in both Open Great League and also in Great League Remix. And I found this to be the most successful one of them all. I mean, if you have probably better team comps out there where you probably had multiple 5-0 sets with Hoopa, let me know in the comments below. But I was able to pull out some nice wins with this particular team comp. And there were some really exciting battles in here. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, moving on to the first battle here. I'm obviously going to be leading with Hoopa, with Drapion as the safe swap and Mandibuzz as the closer. So we have, I mean, Mandibuzz isn't exactly the closer in this particular scenario. I mean, Hoopa also, I generally like to build up some energy on Hoopa because when shields are down, both Psychic and Shadow Ball can do a ton of neutral damage, right? So anyways, we have Hoopa into a Dewgong right here. So I'm actually going to stay in. And I'm going to soak up the Icy Wind. Now, I mentioned Hoopa being extremely glassy, but again, Icy Wind is not going to KO. We're still going to survive with a little bit of health left. So I'm actually going to switch into my Drapion right now. We actually make a simultaneous switch, and they switch into their Cresselia, which is great, right? This is such a fantastic matchup for Drapion because Dark Pulse, I mean, Crunch is going to do super effective damage because of the Psychic typing on Cresselia, and especially because of the buff to Crunch, that's made Drapion even more deadly. And as you can see, we got a defense debuff from the Cresselia right there. I'm going to overfarm a little bit, and then I'm going to throw the Crunch just before they can get to one of the Moonblast. I did shield the first Moonblast because that's going to do a lot of neutral damage. They do shield that, which is okay. And I'm going to shield this up as well, right? I mean, generally, I like to save at least one shield for Hoopa. But in this particular scenario, I feel like it's worth investing 2 shields in Drapion. And I'm just going to try and build up a lot of extra energy. And once again, I'm going to go for the Crunch right now. And then that's going to obviously take out the Cresselia from that range. And they actually come in with their Primeape. And this is exactly why I'm running Sludge Bomb, right? I mean, you can run Aqua Tail as well because you're going to get there much quicker. But obviously, Sludge Bomb is going to give that a little more diverse coverage. And obviously, it also has Stab and does a lot more damage in a lot of these matchups where Crunch is resisted, right? And they go for Night Slash, which is resisted, which is great. And I'm going to go for the Crunch on the Primeape here. And it does get the shield, which is fantastic. And I'm just going to come in with my Mandibuzz right now, right? I don't want to come in with my Hoopa because I know this Primeape has a lot of loaded energy. So I'm going to come in with my Mandibuzz. They make a switch into their Dewgong. So I'm actually going to stay in and then wait for them to dump their energy on Mandibuzz, right? We can definitely easily survive an Icy Wind right now. And now at this point, I'm just going to switch into my Hoopa and go for the Shadow Ball. Could go for both Psychic and Shadow Ball. It doesn't matter. Both would KO from this range. And that does take out the Dewgong there. And then, yeah, Primeape is just going to go down to 1 confusion there, right? Again, counter is triple resisted by Hoopa because of that Psychic Ghost typing, obviously. I think that's like one of the biggest benefits out there with it. So, as you can see, I mean, Drapion really put in work as far as that matchup is concerned. And if you can load up your Hoopa and switch out, you can possibly land Shadow Balls and Psychics towards endgame, which can be very destructive, right? So, they actually come in with their Ninetales here. And beg your pardon. That's their lead, and they do shield up the Aqua Tail, which is fine. And I'm gonna actually let this go through. It is a Weather Ball, which is okay, and they're gonna go for another Weather Ball right now. I'm actually gonna shield this up because that's gonna put Drapion pretty low right now. And now they make a switch into their Whiscash. Now this is pretty tough, right? Again, Whiscash is actually kind of tough to deal with because yeah, I'm actually gonna go for the Aqua Tail right now because we got a defense debuff. I'm hoping it gets the shield. It doesn't get the shield, unfortunately. And Whiscash is really difficult to deal with because it has access to Blizzard as well, which can do super effective damage against Mandibuzz. And obviously, it has a great matchup against Drapion as well, right? So I'm going to come in with my Mandibuzz here and go for the foul play. I don't really want to come in with my Hoopa because for Hoopa, you're going to be forced to shield Mud Bombs. Whereas for Mandibuzz, you just have to make sure you shield the Blizzard, right? But they unfortunately bait with Mud Bomb. But luckily, I'm able to get to a foul play just in time. It's going to take out the Whiscash from this range, as it does there, which is fantastic. And yeah, at this point, we both have no shields, which is not great, but luckily they have a Golbat in the back, right? Again, Golbat honestly doesn't really have too much play against this entire team. All three of these Pokemon do pretty well against it, which is really good, right? Again, the best they can do is go for Poison Fang because Shadow Ball is resisted. They do go for Poison Fang, and again, those air slashes are adding up, but again, Mandibuzz is just extremely tanky, and you definitely need that tankiness to cover up for Hoopa's glassiness, right? But anyways, they switch into their Ninetales here. They're going to go for the Shadow Ball. It one-shots the Ninetales. And they're going to come back with their Golbat. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Poison Fang is not going to KO. And one Confusion should pretty much take it out there. I mean, as you can see, I mean, just staying in with Hoopa for a bit and then loading and then switching out. And to a point, because you're going to be able to force shields with Drapion, right? And when shields are down, and as long as they don't have like a Dark-type Pokemon in the back, Psychic or Shadow Ball is just going to do a ton of neutral damage towards endgame, right? Again, Hoopa has such a high attack stat, so it works perfectly in that situation there. Again, one of the other big problems in this team comp is Charmers. And as you can see, that Charm is just doing so much damage. So I'm actually going to switch to my Drapion here. And I actually switched it up to Aqua Tail this time because I felt like, yeah, I mean, I needed a move that I could get to a lot quicker. And then, yeah, probably needed Sludge Bomb in this situation. But it's okay. I mean, it's fine. They switched out to their Charmer anyways. But I'm going to shield up the Rock Slide here. They actually come in with Melmetal. And I'm going to go for the Crunch right now. To hopefully lower their defense. It's going to do a lot of neutral damage. Again, Melmetal is pretty glassy in the Great League as it does there. And I was trying to get to an Aqua Tail, unfortunately not able to get it in time. And it ends up being a CMP tie, which is really bad. So I'm going to shield that up and then, yeah, unfortunately ends up sending the Aqua Tail. So I'm going to completely undercharge it here. And it doesn't KO, but they switch out into their Whiscash. And I'm going to try and go for a Crunch, right? But actually, I'm actually going to load up a Crunch and then catch the Mud Bomb and Mandibuzz, which is really good because it's double resisted right now. But unfortunately, we're locked in here with a 2-shield deficit, which is not great, right? Because Whiscash has access to Blizzard, and this is not looking good at all. So I'm going to go for the foul play here. Doesn't really do that much damage to a Whiscash, and this is almost for sure going to be Blizzard. The fact that Mandibuzz can actually tank a Blizzard at super effective damage is in itself amazing, right? It does only about 70% of Mandibuzz's health, which is pretty impressive. But anyways, I was going to try and go for another foul play here. Unfortunately, not able to get it in time. This is a Mud Bomb, this is not going to KO. It is just a Mud Bomb, which is fantastic. And they come back with their Granbull, unfortunately, and there's not a lot of play here, right? Again, at this situation, there's not a lot I can do. I'm actually going to come in with my Drapion and try and go for the Aqua Tail as soon as possible. I'm really hoping they let this go through. But of course, they're going to shield that. And yeah, Charm is absolutely going to destroy Hoopa there, right? Again, as you can see, Hoopa is extremely glassy. And this team is definitely slightly weak to Charm. I mean, Hoopa, I mean, on paper has a neutral matchup against it. But just because it's just so extremely glassy, I mean, Charm is going to chunk away. And obviously, Mandibuzz doesn't have a great matchup against Charmers. Drapion has a decent matchup against it if you have Sludge Bomb, which is also one of the reasons why I had Sludge Bomb initially. But I definitely started preferring Aqua Tail for some of those ground-type Pokemon like Unova, Stunfisk, Nidoqueen, etc., right? And also, you can get to Aqua Tail much quicker, so I guess it works out that way. Anyways, we have Hoopa into a Hypno right now. Kind of a neutral matchup this. Because both Hypno and Hoopa have access to Shadow Ball. But they were actually trying to go for a punch. I'm going to try and catch that on Drapion here. We catch the Fire Punch on Drapion. And they actually come in with their Unova Stunfisk. And this is also one of the exact reasons why I decided to switch to Aqua Tail. Because Aqua Tail is going to be really handy in this matchup, right? Obviously, super effective damage because of the ground typing on Unova Stunfisk. I'm going to shield this up because I want to put some shield pressure on the Unova Stunfisk as well, right? It's kind of debatable. I could probably let it go through and come in and, you know, farm down with Hoopa. But then again, Mandibuzz doesn't have a great matchup against it as well. So I just want to get shields out of the way anyways. So I'm going to shield this up as well, which is probably not the best decision in hindsight. But I'm just going to go for another Aqua Tail here. You definitely want to preserve at least one shield for Hoopa, given how glassy it is. But then again, I'm just putting everything on Mandibuzz, right? So I actually make a switch in my Hoopa to try and go for the Psychic, but they make a switch into Toxicroak and it just gets one shot, right? Which is fantastic. And they come back with their Unova Stunfisk, which is okay. And this Mud Bomb is probably going to KO, but it's fine. Again, Toxicroak is double weak to Psychic because of that fighting poison typing. So surprisingly, they switched straight into a Psychic there. Not sure what happened. But I'm going to come in with my Mandibuzz. They blind through that right now, which is probably going to be just a Mud Bomb. And yeah. Unfortunately, they end up lagging out a bit, which is really bad. But yeah, this is ends up being a third shield glitch as well. Honestly, I mean, that's the last thing they needed. I don't think it would have made a difference at this point because we still had a full health Mandibuzz. And yeah, there's not a lot of play for them there. So again, Hypno doesn't really have too much play against Mandibuzz at this stage. I'm just going to build up 2 foul plays and then just go for it here. Unfortunately, like I said, they lagged a bit. Or I don't know if they gave up already, but this foul play is definitely going to take out the Hypno from that range there. So, actually doesn't quite take it out, but we should be able to snarl down and take the win. So, pretty close. I mean, not as close as it turned out, but I think it would have been a close win even if they hadn't lagged because we still had a full health Mandibuzz in the back. And yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm okay going two shields down to Drapion because I know we have Mandibuzz in the back, which definitely does not need shields, right? So we have Hoopa into a Malamar. Again, Malamar is such an exciting Pokemon, which I'm definitely looking forward to trying out as well. I'm pretty sure some of you might have tried it out already, but unfortunately, they make a switch into their Poliwrath onto my Drapion. This is the last thing I want to see, especially with this moveset. There's almost nothing that Drapion can do against Poliwrath, right? So I let that go through. Scald does a lot of neutral damage there, but I'm going to go for the Crunch right now to hopefully get a defense debuff. Unfortunately, we don't get it. And I'm going to try and go for another Crunch right now. And again, this is still doing quite a bit of resistant damage here. Definitely doing a lot more than Aqua Tail is. Does quite a bit of damage as you can see there. And this one I'm going to shield this up because I want to maintain switch advantage, right? Which is going to be really crucial in this matchup. Because I want to make sure I can line up my Mandibuzz against their Malamar there. So they actually come in with their Drapion, which is okay. I'm going to try and go for an Aqua Tail here. Again, Aqua Tail obviously helps in the mirror, whereas if you have Sludge Bomb and Crunch, then the mirror matchup would be a bit of an issue, right? And I'm barely able to get to another Aqua Tail as well, which is fantastic. And they actually come in with their Malamar, and they basically switch lock their Malamar into my Mandibuzz, which is best case scenario right now, right? And I'm going to let this go through, which is fine. Probably going to be a Crunch or a Superpower, but it ends up being a Hyper Beam. That is really surprising. That's like such a spicy moveset. That does about 50% of Mandibuzz's health, which is amazing, right? And they do shield up the Foul Play. Foul Play is obviously neutral because of the Psychic Dark typing. And I'm going to actually switch into my Hoopa here. And they go for another Hyper Beam, right? Hyper Beam is double resisted by Hoopa because of that Ghost typing, surprisingly. I don't know if they're probably running with Hyper Beam and Superpower, which in that case makes sense to go for Hyper Beam. But I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball here. It does quite a bit of neutral damage against Hoopa because of that dark Psychic typing. And they're going to have to throw, right? Because Poison Sting is not doing enough damage. I'm going to let it go through. And all I have to do is basically get to 2 area races, right? And I'm going to let this go through. I'm hoping this is just a Crunch or an Aqua Tail. But ends up being a Sludge Bomb. That was really scary right there. But then again, it's just, I mean, it just comes down to Mandibuzz's tankiness, right? We're able to tank a Hyper Beam and a Sludge Bomb and still live. And I'm able to get to another aerial race here. And this is definitely going to take out the Drapion from that range there. So extremely close. I mean, once again, Mandibuzz pulling it through because of that tankiness. But, I mean, surprisingly, they went for Hyper Beam on Hoopa. Like I said, even though that was double resisted, that did about 50% of Hoopa's health, right? Which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, I know it's Hyper Beam, but then 50% for being double resisted is kind of ridiculous there. And this is actually one of those battles where I accidentally clicked Great League. And as soon as you do that, you know you're in trouble because this team is definitely not built for open Great League, right? I should have clicked Remix, but this is not a good situation to be in. Talonflame is not something that you want to go up against. I mean, it's okay. I mean, you do have Aqua Tail, but then that thing is a monster, right? And they come in with Machamp here, which is not a great matchup. I mean, it's not a great matchup, obviously, for Drapion. But I'm going to try and spam as many Aqua Tails as possible. I'm going to let it go through. Probably just going to be a cross chop. We can definitely tank that. And then, yeah. I'm going to overfarm a bit. The reason I want to do that is, yeah. Just trying to actually build up 2 Aqua Tails here. Wasn't quite able to get it. And then, at this point, I'm going to come in with my Hoopa. And then I'm going to farm it down. I'm going to risk the fact that this is just a Cross Chop and hopefully not a Rock Slide. Cross Chop is triple resisted, which is great. And then let's see what they come in with. They actually come in with their Talonflame. I'm going to go straight for the Psychic right now, right? They're almost for sure going to shield this. Could go for both Psychic and Shadow Ball. Both of them have Stab anyways. And then Charge Move coming through from the Talonflame. And I'm going to let it go through right now. It's just a Flame Charge. And I'm going to try and go for the Foul Play as soon as possible. And the fact that they haven't switched yet tells me that whatever is in the back is weak to Mandibuzz, right? So it's actually looking pretty good here. But then again, these Incinerates just doing so much damage. And I'm going to shield this up as well, and hopefully I can take it out before they can get to one of the Flame Charge. And then, yeah, I'm just going to go for it as soon as possible here. Obviously, Foul Play is going to do enough neutral damage to take out the Talonflame from that range. And yeah, as expected, they have a Jellicent at the back, right? Which is fantastic. So I'm just going to try and go for the Foul Play as soon as possible here. But then again, I do have to watch out for Ice. I'm hopefully going to try and catch the Ice Beam on my Hoopa here, right? I'm going to try and switch in my Hoopa to catch the Ice Beam, but they were very smart. They didn't throw. And it's just going to be a GG at this point there. So, I mean, they played that perfectly. They were expecting the sack, but I had no choice but to sack because Hoopa being double weak to Ghost was going to go down immediately to Hex anyways. So I needed to preserve my Mandibuzz, but props to them, well played. Honestly, this should have gone into Remix, but I accidentally clicked Great and Open Great League and paid the price for it there. So moving on to the final battle of the video, we have Hoopa into a Hypno, which is, like I said, a fairly neutral matchup this. And I'm going to actually switch in my Drapion to catch one of these punches. And the fact that they're still staying in is kind of interesting. So I'm going to go for the crunch as soon as possible. As you can see, Drapion can get to charge moves so quickly right there. And we get their defense debuff as well. I'm going to shield this up just in case it's a Focus Blast. And it is a Focus Blast. Luckily, we shielded that. That probably would have one-shot the Drapion from that range. And they come in with their Dragalge, right? Dragalge is also a pretty solid pick in the Great League Remix, beg your pardon. And I'm going to go for the Crunch. Crunch does quite a bit of neutral damage there. I don't want to go for Aqua Tail because that's resisted because of the Dragon typing. I'm going to let it go through. Aqua Tail does quite a bit of damage. I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail this time, right? It is resisted, but I know I can't get to a Crunch and I really want to get a shield out of them. And we do get the shield, which is fantastic, right? Because now I can come in with Hoopa. Hoopa has a pretty positive matchup against Dragalge because Psychic is doing super effective damage because of that poison typing, right? Again, this is another Gen 6 battle. I absolutely love these Pokemon, to be honest. And they come in with the Hypno. I'm going to switch into my Mandibuzz here. And yeah, it's just GG's at this point, right? There's not a lot of play for them at this point because, yeah, Fire Punch is going to come through. That's hardly going to do anything. And I'm going to overfarm quite a bit here and then go for the Foul Play. Obviously, going to do super effective damage against Hypno. No, it's not going to KO, but I'm going to be able to farm it down. And then, yeah, let's see what they have in the back. They actually come in with their Dragalge, and then I was actually trying to overfarm a bit and then throw the Foul Play. Unfortunately, it ends up being a CMP tie here. They do go for Aqua Tail, and at this point, I'm just going to not hit any bubbles because I want to be able to farm it down. It doesn't KO, but they make a switch into their Wobuffet. Now, this is perfect, right? They have a Psychic Pokemon in the back. I'm going to go for the Foul Play here. Again, Wobuffet is extremely tanky because I want to put, that would now put it into Shadow Ball range, right? Shadow Ball is obviously going to be super effective. And it's going to do massive super effective damage and it still doesn't one-shot it. And like I said, Wobuffet is just such a tank. But it doesn't have a great attack stat as well. So we should be able to survive this Mirror Coat from this range. Because that's resisted as well. Because of that Psychic typing. And I'm going to be able to completely farm it down. And then, yeah, I'm just going to go for the Psychic onto this Dragalge here. Psychic is overkill. I mean, it's going to one-shot it probably from full health anyways. But they decided to give up the match there. So a lot of interesting Gen 6 Pokemon coming through. I mean, I never really got to try Dragalge. Clavitzer, you know, obviously... There's Barbarical. I mean, obviously now we have Malamar as well. I absolutely love Gen 6. It's definitely my favorite gen. A lot of interesting picks as well. So hopefully I can try out different Pokemon in the coming videos. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully looking forward to Malamar tomorrow. But anyways, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.